I live in a really old farmhouse, like my grandpa was literally born downstairs. Hey guys, I'm just gonna go. We're just gonna go. So I've been for the past couple of years living with my mother again in North Carolina, and I am actually moving again. Um, so that's what's been going on for me recently. I've been packing everything up and trying to move. Um, just trying to leave. Just going through one of the interesting things about going like the first time. Um, I guess your first time when you move like this, it's just going through all your things, my 25 years of collected living, really only 19 years of collected living in this house because we only moved here when my brother was a baby. But there's a good 19 plus years of collected living in this house, and now everybody's trying to move out, mom included. So we've been going through all of our stuff and just trying to get everything straight and getting rid of things we no longer need. It does feel like it's the first time moving, and even though I have lived outside at home before, there's just something interesting about going through everything. There's things that I forgot I had, even though I cleaned up my room I think semi-annually since I was a kid, because that's just a thing that my mom had us do, because she was a military baby. She was always moving, so holding on to things is not something that she ever did or gets. She just doesn't get it. On the one hand, it's good because it encourages me and my brother not to hold on to too much that's gonna be hard to keep track of. But on the other hand, trying to explain why I want to keep hold of something I've had since I was 5 because I like how it makes me feel when I hold it. My things there's still some stuff strewn around my room just because my day-to-day living that I haven't put in my backpack yet is kind of it's kind of surreal. It's not been this empty since It's not been this empty since my aunt moved out and we were moving my stuff. Like my aunt, when we were little, my mom's sister used to live with us. She used to have one of the rooms upstairs, and me and my brother had the other room. It's not been this empty since she moved out, and we were splitting up the kids' room, and my brother and I both got our own rooms. But so I'm pretty much done. But I did find something that just is a nice go back into video. Something that I thought it'd be interesting to go through. Just as a video. I found, there are boxes like this everywhere in my closet. Just full. And, what this is, it was my craft box that my grandmother, my Mima, she made for me, when I was younger, just with the stickers and everything all over it. And, it's full of old artwork and sketchbooks and doodles that I did, leading up to my last year of high school, which was, I graduated from high school 7 years ago. That's time flies. So I have not gone through this yet. Like, I've seen the first couple of things, but so I just wanted to go through and just nice little done with this location, moving on kind of thing. Just going through a nice little vlog of me going through my shit. And, because right away on top was an old comic that I did. I actually did this one, after my first semester in college. I came back for the summer. I had a job at, the grocery store in town. I was a cashier, and that was one of the, but I did do a lot of these weird little comics, and I found a couple others that one other. I thought it was funny at the time. It was I can't find it, or I would show you, but I would draw while I was bored as hell at this small town, middle of nowhere grocery store. One thing I drew was the phrase "killing boredom" came into mind, and so what I did was a little doodle of the little persona I had for myself. Some guy falling off panel with boredom written on his sleeve, and my little persona aiming a gun at him. And I thought at the time that was funny. Looking back on it now, I'm sitting there like, At best, it really wasn't that clever. So yeah, the first thing on top is another one of those little comics I drew while I was at work. And I drew it on the back of an EBT notice. The first strip, basically like, oh, I'm bored. Just wishing for something to happen. And then it's silly. It's really not that funny. But it passed the time. Just the old, I wish I had $1 million joke. It's original. This is one of the first comics I ever wanted to do. And you may laugh, because it's Lion King. The story behind the Lion King art, which is like an ornament, was, in my high school we had guards, we had website blocks on the computers, and so we couldn't actually get to any sites. Like, for example, any website or anything that I do stuff on now either didn't exist back then, or it was blocked at my school. So I didn't have internet at my house until like the last year I was in high school. Yeah, so I had very limited access internet-wise when I was a kid, which I consider good, because some of the stuff that I used to do, say, think, draw, and write, I am so glad that that is not online, because there's already, within the last 7 years, enough online that I kind of look back on and go, wow. So at my school, all the Lion King stuff was because there was really like only 1 or 2 art sites that we could even access from the computer that weren't completely blocked. One of them was the Lion King Fan Art Archives. I found it one day, and I wasn't even, like, I always loved the Lion King. I would watch it over and over and over again. It was just one of my top 3 Disney movies. I would watch, rewind it, and then watch it again. And that was back when you had a VHS and you had to rewind it. I would be just sit there, staring at the thing, like, alright, is it done yet? Is it done yet? When I found the site, it was like, I wasn't like that into like fan art and stuff until I found the site. And I'd always, I loved animals. I loved especially cats, because we had a ton of cats. Like, I didn't have a love for cats that brought cats into the house. We had cats in the house that brought a love for cats, because that's just we found one, and she had babies. And the last time I counted, it was a very high number. I'm not going to disclose, but I'm going to excuse it by saying we lived on a farm, so it was okay. Speaking of cats, I have not fed mine. Okay. Where was I? Hello. This is Mittens. You met her before. Okay. Yeah, it was the only site that we had. I'm going to keep looking at the screen and watching her behind me. So it was the only art site that we could access at school, so I kind of got really into it for a while, because that was my outlet. So I got all of 2 pages done that are somehow laid out better than some of the first pages of Abibus. That makes me mad. These are laid out better than that one was. Look at this. Where? I don't understand. What do you want? Get off my phone. So there was a lot of, I did a lot of Lion King artwork, and that was one of the first comics I tried to do, was a little fan art comic of the Lion King, and she's very distracting because she's loud. I know you hear her. But another thing I used to do, people would have me do all the time, especially one person who was obsessed with hearts. I would draw tattoo designs, very particular kind of tattoo designs, very symmetrical, very tramp stampy. I would do a lot of these. People in school would, it's like what was interesting about me was drawing tramp stamps for people or pets. This one kid really liked how I drew dragons. Those are some messed up wings. This is one of the original portraits that I did that I was actually kind of proud of. This is 9 years old. This is 9 years old. I'm going to cover up the signature and stuff because it's got some information on who it is. But this was a portrait I drew in high school when I was 15. It was from a photograph. Like, I was really good from photographs for a while, so that was how I did references for the longest time, Amanda Bynes. So I would draw from photographs. Like, I would alter things, like I tried to do dress designs, because I wanted to design my own dresses. And I drew a lot of horses, because when it wasn't about cats or the Lion King, I was all about horses, because I didn't have a lot of things going on. Well, I had a lot of things going on, but I didn't have like a lot of external things going on. This is just a blank piece of paper. I don't know why this is in here. This is from my mom's portfolio. Oh god, the librarians must have hated me, because I would go and use up all the colored ink, printing photos and stills of actors and stuff that I considered like face stand-ins for characters and stories that I would write. Those stories being the ones that I will never share online without some serious editing and commentary upon, if they ever do, because I still have them. It just keeps going. And this was only from one day. This is how I learned how to draw faces. They hated me in the library because I kept doing this. I used to get a ton of these how to draw books, and I would get bored some days and treat them like coloring books and color in some of the finished images. A word of some kind, and I know because it's in a bag. Oh, this is that poem that I quote-unquote wrote? No, this is from the Daily Reflector. Different newspaper. What's that? Okay. Get off my phone. Keep finding the phone. I am a part of all I have met. This is when I was in elementary school. I do not remember this at all. I don't know whether I had help with it. I probably did. I don't remember what it was for. We had a lot of weird writing assignments, but I'm going to read it anyway and cut it out if I don't like it. I am a part of all I have met. I am the will of my mother, the strength of my stepfather, and the love of my grandparents who are precious to me. I am the purr of my cat, the fur of my dog, and the heart of my house my horse who runs like the wind. The heart of my horse who runs like the wind. I didn't have a horse. I am my mother again, the spirit of Grandmother Maudlin, and the Lord's holy word that I hide in my heart. I am part of all I have met. This was back when I was religious. And even more ridiculously sentimental than I am. I didn't have a horse. I used to go to riding lessons all the time. There was a little filly that had just been born that I got to name. That's what it was. I got to name her. I named her Wonder after a character in my favorite book series, which was the Thoroughbred book series, because I read anything about horses. Another old gatehouse. Another copy of the old gatehouse. More copies of the old gatehouse. Why? Is there so many copies? My grandma wanted me to pass them out. Didn't do that. You too can draw with colored pencils. Oh, there we go. Horses. It's really a very good book. It does like anatomy and stuff. Chinese brush painting of drawing dogs. The longest time I could not do people. I couldn't do it. I didn't start learning how to do people very well until high school, and I know how that sounds, so I'm going to stop saying. My grandma and I, something we used to do all the time together was cross-stitching. Like, I have a very, very complicated and elaborate horse, of course, that my mom keeps on the wall that I did with her. More cross-stitching and needlework. Cross-stitching and needlework. Cross-stitching and needlework. Rural cross-stitching and needlework. Drawer lids. It's just so homey. Sports, that's not hard. I used to, for a little while, be the most... It was something I tried to. It was intentional. I was the most country kid you could imagine. I wanted boots. I had horses and stuff everywhere in my room. It was kind of ridiculous, even though I still kind of would have loved it if I walked into it now. It's Christmas. I was obsessed. I listened to nothing but country music all summer long while I sat on the floor and did my puzzles because I was a lonely child. It was around the same time that I was really religious. I was really religious for a little while there. And yet, I still would watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer religiously. It was interesting. starting to get into the part of the box that was my grandma's stuff. And I haven't seen this stuff since I was since she was putting together. I was little. Well, not little. She would collect crafts to make. One thing she used to do is she would find instructions for something in like a magazine, and she had this old typewriter before she had a computer, and she used to type it all out, all the instructions on how to put it all together. And she would even give credit to who came up with the craft. I haven't seen some of this stuff in years, and it smells like her. There's sheets in here that she did all by hand and then copied out so it wouldn't get rubbed away. I can't read half of it because she wrote everything in cursive. This looks like something from... I can't remember. I don't know. I honestly can't remember if this was something that I did or one of her students did. But my grandmother was she taught Spanish in high school and to us, which I don't speak. Like I can, like it's weird. Like I don't use it a lot conversationally at all anymore. Not since college, so I can barely speak Spanish anymore. Like hearing it, speaking it, it's like what? But if you give me an hour, I'll be reading it enough to get the gist. Summers with her, she would have boxes of lesson plans and crafts all summer long, and I loved it. But and I wanted to do it, but I remember being in the process of it, I would always be like bored. And it wasn't that she wasn't a good teacher, that she didn't do. She always had so many ideas to try to keep us entertained. But it's like I was one of those kids who was like, oh, I liked the idea of all these things. I just once it actually got to doing it, it was too much work. I don't know what to do with some of this. Get out of that box! You're gonna hurt yourself. Your butt doesn't work. Hold on, I have to rescue my cat. Come here. Come here. That was the end of the box. Did nicely because I got to bring Mittens back on camera. Didn't I? Are you stuck on my coat again? You are. So, explanation to the butt doesn't work comment. Her hips. She's old. She's like 12 now. So her hips get a little weak sometimes. She'll lose balance and fall sometimes. She still gets around well enough. She can still jump up onto the bed. But every now and then her hips give out and she kind of wobbles a bit. Keeps getting into trouble. Gotta leave her with Mom. You miss me? You're not gonna act like it, but you're gonna miss me. Well, going through that box is pretty much all I had for today. I'm moving. I made myself cry looking at some of my grandmother's old stuff in the craft box she made for me. This is one of those things like it took me forever to go through just because looking at the top of it with my name in her handwriting and the stickers we put up there was enough to make me want to cry. So that's that. This is really lackluster vlog. Do you want to get on my lap? No, you just want to go across to get to my phone again. Don't you dare climb on my computer. You know better. I'll catch you later, guys.